Hi, welcome to my home. I'm going to be showing you some of the prepping I did last weekend, and this is some delicious pulao which I made, which is essentially a very nice and fluffy vegetable rice loaded with loads of vegetables. But wait, this is not a regular pulao recipe video. I'm sure a lot of people have their own variations of making their own vegetable rice, nor is this a regular prepping video. It is, in fact, my own philosophy or my own take on prepping, in which I get to eat a variety of dishes while doing some very basic prepping. So, stay tuned to be able to prep like a pro, like probably like every other working mom preps. So, I'm beginning with some oil, I'm adding in some mustard seeds, and once it splatters, I'm going to add in some chilies and some dry spices. Why am I using dry spices? Because I don't want to use powdered spices, which can make the dish very heavily spiced and make the spices very strong. I want the spices to be there, but I want them to be very subtle and very nuanced so that I can team up this really yummy rice dish in a more versatile way with other side gravies. For instance, it could be a meat gravy on the side, or it could just be a side of fish or chicken. You could also combine this very well with curry of chickpeas, with a lentil curry. You can do essentially whatever you want with this basic rice, which uses dry spices, where it's not too heavy on spice and therefore can be easily combined with other side dishes. So I've added in some star anise, some bay leaves, some cloves, and then I've added in my garlic and onion. I think I missed out the cinnamon, it's going to come in soon. But essentially, I'm going to fry this for some time, and once the onions are roasted, I'm going to add vegetables. Now, this comes to the second point. Whatever I prep, I generally want to do all of my vegetable cutting at the same time on a single day, so I'm not having to chop vegetables over and over again during the week. Earlier, what we used to do is to sort of chop and keep the chopped vegetables in the fridge. This also works, but it still means a little bit of an extra time to sort of season my vegetables before I make any other dish. So here what I'm doing is I'm chopping my carrots, my turnips. I've also added in all the cauliflower that I've been getting, a Bounty Harvest. If you're interested in starting your own vegetable garden, do take a look at uh, my other videos on this channel where I'm talking about my gardening. I will do a little bit more of an update. Recently we had a hurricane and a lot of my vegetables were spoiled, but coming back to this recipe, I'm adding in my carrots and my turnips. Now the thing is, the kind of vegetables you generally add in a vegetable rice are the dry kind of vegetables. You can't add in pumpkin or zucchini, for instance, because they can make the rice very soggy. You can also add in beans, French beans, for instance, or you can also add in peas. Very frequently, when I'm very tired and I don't have the energy to chop vegetables, maybe I'm sick, for instance, I will fry up some onions with some dry spices and add in peas. Here you can see I've also added in some very finely chopped broccoli leaves. Now my son doesn't like broccoli leaves, and this is a very creative way of getting the leaves in. If it's finely chopped, he doesn't know when he eats. I'm adding in some salt and some turmeric, and I'm going to fry it. You can see this pan is quite large, and I think it can do with a lot more vegetables, so I'm adding in more turnips here. The idea is to have a big bowl of vegetables which can be versatile uh, for me in my kitchen during the rest of the week. I will use half of these vegetables today to pre-cook a large batch of pulao of vegetable rice. Say maybe give me and my son about 3 to 4 meals of pulao in the coming week. But the remaining vegetables I will then set aside to make something else. After it steams a little bit, see, it is not completely cooked. You should not cook it. Just steam it lightly for about 4 to 5 minutes, and then dry up the water and take out the lid and let the water all dry up. and here I'm putting away half of the vegetables in my fridge so that say about 2 or 3 days from now, if I want to make pulao once again, I can do it. Or if I'm very bored of pulao, of vegetable rice, I can then use the same vegetables for other recipes. For instance, I can add just coconut milk with these vegetables and they'll become a very nice coconut vegetable gravy. I can add in cooked lentils, for instance, to these vegetables, and it'll be a very nice cooked, creamy vegetable lentil curry. I can add in some coconut milk to my lentil curry to make it a little more creamy. Now I've just added in the rice. It's a short grain rice from South India, but you see, I'm frying it a little bit. The reason I'm doing this is that I want all the water out and I want the rice, the washed rice, to get dry and it has to get a little bit crispy. Now, why? Because when it does that, the rice grains stay apart once the pulao is cooked. So, when you do this, when you fry the rice along with the vegetables in the beginning, you ensure that you get a very light and fluffy rice which does not stick together. Now, this is about 3.5 cups of rice, to which I've added in 2 cups of coconut milk, and I'm now adding in 5 cups of water, so exactly double the amount of water as the rice. And in about 15 to 20 minutes, this pulao is now ready. As you can see, the rice is nice and separate and it's not sticking to each other. And this dish is also versatile in another way. For instance, on days when I don't want to just eat pulao, I can, accompany it with other meat gravies, some scrambled eggs, some chickpea curry, vegetable curry, or just some lentils if I want to. Today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to team this up with our favorite radish raita. So radishes are grated very finely and I add in some chopped onions, some yogurt and some salt, and that gives us a very delicious raita that accompanies this meal. You can also add in some pickle alongside and this is an excellent dish.